and welcome to my fourth vlog. I'm Stuart Walborn, also known now as the Film Psycho, and you may be wondering, why have I got something sticking out of my ear? That is because on my third vlog I was talking about practical effects, and I'd just been to the Rain Dance Special Effects course where we took a mould of our index finger and then cast it in 2-part prosthetic grade silicone. I forgot to bring the finger up with me last week, so this is it. This is what, I mean, it has to be coloured, but look how flexible that is. Awesome. So if you're doing practical effects in your horror film, 2-part prosthetic grade silicone rather than liquid latex, because that's set in like 10 minutes. Okay, now back on with the regular things, and I was going to start off with an update on my project. Mixed feelings right now. Hopefully behind me you'll be seeing a picture of my, well, was my motorbike. Just had to sell that to put some money in the pot to make my film, which will be an adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's The Terrible Old Man. And now, with the money from my baby, I shall be able to feed my cast and crew and get some props, but yeah, still trying to get some more money in the pot. But that was the kind of negative thing that was going on for me, having to sell my bike. However, great things are happening. I think I already mentioned it last week. Yeah, secured a location, I've got a DP, now got a sound recordist attached and a couple of runners. So getting my crew together, so that's fantastic news as far as I'm concerned. And since we're talking about sound recordists, sound, other than your pictures, is something that you really should concentrate on. Moving on to my filmmaking tip, I guess. I should have said that. And I've been in a number of student films as an actor, and quite often not got any showreel material out of it because they didn't pay attention to the sound. You can forgive a bit of a poor picture, but if the sound's naff, you're just going to have to turn it off. It's just unbearable. And so my filmmaking tip. When I was on the hands-on directing course, part 2, with Patrick Tucker, he said to speed up your process of the overall project, what you want to do is record your wild tracks at the location. If you don't know what wild track is, that's things like you know, the sound effects, doors opening, all those kind of things, footsteps. If you can get them on location, it's going to save you time and money. You're not going to have to pay a Foley artist for a start, so there's some money saved. And if you're doing it yourself, you know, everything that I've done to date, near enough, I've done the Foley for. A friend helps me on some of it, but between us and a couple of our friends, we've done it all ourselves, and we've learned the hard way. On my fan production that we're doing of Hitman Agent 47, we filmed that in 2014. And we were filming a flashback sequence for Agent 47 being with Nika. Plot spoiler here, but we killed her off at the start of that pilot episode. Lovely setting we'd got. This cafe, supposed to look like it's, where are we? It's supposed to be in France, looked all the part. But we didn't think about the fact that the music was playing in the background, so we do our master shots, we do over the shoulders, close-ups and all that, and then when you come to edit together, oh my god, the music is there, and you can't cut between. And I must have spent 20 hours trying to correct that scene, doing all sorts of things, and I kind of pulled it off. In episode 2, which will be out very soon, hopefully a September release on YouTube. And when you see the flashback sequence, you'll realise what I'm talking about. How much work to create that, because there was music in the background. I've put other music in. But there's my filmmaking tip. Record your wild tracks on set. Just, you know, set aside 10 minutes 15 minutes at the end of every camera setup and say to your sound guy, what wild tracks do you want? Let's get them done. Obviously record your ambience as well. Somebody, I can't remember who it was, suggested doing that before you even start recording. Doesn't take any time, does it? Everyone, shut the fuck up. We're doing a wild track. Off we go. Job's a fish. Okay, so since we've been talking about sound, on to my book recommendation. And this week it is Sounds to Die For. Speak in the Language of Horror Film Sound by Heather Emmett. Once again, another little book like the one I did recommended last week. Half the book goes into the sound world of Dario Argento, Italian director, like of horror films, Suspiria. I think that's an 80s film. I've seen it. I'm not sure if it's 80s or early 90s, but half the book goes about that, and Dario Argento did his own thing with sound, which is not usual in horrors, but there's interviews with different people, sound recordists and that, and there's even Walter Murch. If you don't know who Walter Murch is, he's basically the god when it comes to editing, so which was a really interesting interview from my perspective, being an ex-psychotherapist. He touched on things to do with dreams and that was like, interesting, deep. Yes, but if you're going to be doing horror films, there's certain sounds that tend to scare people. I won't go into the reasoning behind it because that's all in the book, but things like water flowing, the wind, elemental sounds that you'll usually hear in horror, metallic sounds like Freddy Krueger, and the chains in Hellraiser, which, surprisingly enough, is my film recommendation for this week. If you haven't seen the original Hellraiser, when you're watching this remake or something might be out, I have them all. Well, I have every single Hellraiser that Doug Bradley's in playing Pinhead. I don't have anything else. Great film. It's probably my favourite horror film since the 80s anyway, because the lead characters, your antagonists, your monsters, whatever you want to call them, in the first film weren't particularly evil. If you hadn't opened the box, they wouldn't be coming, and if you had opened the box, you summoned them, and so in they came to get you. I mean, some of the things are a bit dated. No CGI, once again, practical effects. As far as I know, I don't think there's any CGI in it. No, there wouldn't have been. Yes, Hellraiser. That is my film recommendation for the week, and you'll hear the rattling of chains and all that. Listen to the score, listen to the Foley in it, and you'll see these are the kind of things you need to put in your horror film. And to finish my vlog for this week, I thought, since I used to be a psychotherapist and I'm now calling my vlog The Film Psycho, I would share some sort of self-development little thing at the end that's kind of film related. Now in Hellraiser there's a very famous line where oh my god, it is Kirsty, isn't it? Oh no, Nancy's help, Freddy Krueger in it, so Kirsty says, "What are you?" Something like that, and then Pinhead goes, "Explorers in the further regions of experience, demons to some, angels to others." Now, if you sit and think about that, demons to some, angels to others, it's all about perception, isn't it? And everything we experience in life is purely from our perspective, totally subjective. So that's why, you know, all this politics nonsense, you'll have half the people wanting to support one candidate, half wanting to support the other. And it's all about perception from these people. I was going to use a horrible swear word there, but I didn't. Yes, all about perception. Is Donald Trump as bad as we see him? Sorry if you support him, but seriously, if you do support him, what the fuck's going on in your head? Really, because the public perception we have of him is that he's a misogynist, a racist, a lunatic. Is he really when he's at home? Who knows? But our perception of him through social media, through the news, through TV, is one thing. So, when you look at it in that sense, you realise you don't know everything about that person, you just know one little fragment of them. And that goes with everybody you meet. You know, somebody does something that pisses you off, and you make it about them rather than the event. You perceive them to be a twat because they've done something. But they may, work for charities, they may donate to charities, they may, I don't know, raise animals that have been beaten and look after them. There could be anything going on, but just at one moment your perception of them is wanker. But that doesn't make them who they are. And it's the same about you. People have a perception about you, people have a perception about me. But it isn't the whole me, and it isn't the whole you. So, I don't know if I'm going to carry on doing these kind of things every week, because if I start going off on tangents like that, it could go on forever. So, we're going to close up this week's vlog. Let me just say, try and relax and be calm. All our perception is only subjective. The real truth is far scarier than you could imagine. No, not really. Okay, that's it for my vlog for this week. I'm the Film Psycho, and I will see you next week.